Why, hello there. Welcome. Welcome to the second live of this 5 pound slim down for summer challenge. I hope things are going well. If let me know how are things going. Let me know about the challenge. Let me know about everything that you're struggling with. I would love to know. Um, this one's going to be run a bit long, so go at your own pace. But this is incredibly important. I promise you, if you stick it out to the end, you're going to find a lot of really golden nuggets. I think to really help you create the long term change. Because as I said in the last training, as I said on the kickoff call, I want this challenge to be the last challenge you ever need. And the only way we can do that is when we leave this challenge, we're doing things differently from what we've done before, right? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing again and again and expecting a different result. If we keep looking at things the same, if we keep behaving the same way, we're going to always keep getting the same results. And this is what my entire job is changing behavior. That's all it is I'm helping you adopt better behaviors that better serve the outcome you want. And this is huge. This last time we identified what our highest self is. This time we're talking about how to actually start becoming that person. And this is going to be a big one. This is huge because identity change is the biggest thing. If you do not start identifying as someone else, you're going to keep acting the same way you always have been. So, highly encourage you to stick it out to the end. In this, you're going to learn why your identity is the reason why you're never motivated, why you keep self sabotaging, and why you never feel good enough, and exactly how to change that. This might be one of the most important topics, if not the most important video in this entire series, in this entire challenge, because of this. If this does not change, you will repeat the never ending cycle of lose weight, lose weight, gain weight, losing more, and then gaining more than you started with. And then eventually saying, screw it. I'm gonna throw it all out the window. It's clearly not working. This is too hard. So I'm going to throw it out the window. I'm going to all right, I screwed up my diet. So I'm just going to keep screwing up. I'm just going to enjoy it while I can and go in this downward spiral. And you know what? I'll just start over again on Monday. I'm just going to get this out of the way now, get it over and done with. I'm going to start again on Monday and I'm going to try harder. Right. But then Monday never comes. And so we're stuck. And so we keep going in this endless loop, starting and trying. And this is exactly why the average woman will attempt 121 diets in their lifetime. It's because they don't learn the fundamentals that really matter. Because yes, you can keep changing diets, try a new plan, try a new diet, keto, carnivore, you could do vegan, you could do vegetarian, pescatarian, Mediterranean, Weight Watchers, Ideal Protein, Optavia, all of these things, isogenics, all of these different diets and plans that promise you results. But here's the thing: yes, the diet keeps changing, but you don't. You don't change. You don't grow, and you still approach each and every solution with the same mindset, which is why it never actually works long term. So, what is identity? It's our own sense of self, who we believe that we are. It's the stories we tell ourselves. It is the foundation of your reality and how you experience the world based on the collection of internal beliefs that have been built by your life experiences that started as early as childhood. It's things like I am statements. I am a failure. I am a binge eater. I am a dieter. I am a stress eater. I am someone that when I'm stressed, I emotionally eat. I'm not cut out for this. This is too hard for me. I can't do this. I am broken. It's these statements that we begin to identify with. The identity lives in your subconscious mind, meaning you're not aware of it. And your subconscious mind is responsible for 90% of all daily actions, right? Subconscious means you're not aware of that this is going on. This is all happening underneath the surface. And your subconscious will always seek out to affirm your internal beliefs, right? Like, I'm a failure. I'm not worthy. I'm a dieter. I'm an emotional eater. I'm a perfectionist. I'm an all or nothing person. If you believe you are a fill in the blank, then your mind will always seek out evidence in the world to confirm that belief. right? If you believe that you are a dieter, then what's going to happen when you finally lose that 30 pounds? What's going to happen when you finally lose the weight, hit your goal weight, and you're like, yeah, pat yourself on the back and you did it. Well, now what? Well, your internal belief says, I'm a dieter, I'm a binge eater. So, hey, guess what? You reached your goal. You lost that 30 pounds. You went 3 weeks without binge eating. What's going to happen is your internal belief is going to go, hey, get your attention. Hey, by the way, like, this isn't you. This isn't who you are. You're a dieter. And since you hit your goal weight, you're clearly where you want to be, where you thought you wanted to be. Well, guess what? Now you can't diet anymore. So we're going to self-sabotage, gain all the weight back so we can continue dieting. Hey, we've gone 3 weeks without binge eating. Guess what? You're a binge eater, right? So let's snap those, let's like get your attention. Hey, go binge, because that's who you are. That's who you believe you are. Thoughts lead to feelings. Feelings lead to actions that reinforce those thoughts. So if you believe you're a failure, you're going to feel like a failure every single time some little thing knocks you off track, some little mistake is made, and then you're going to act like a failure because that's what you believe you are. And if you believe you're that way, you're going to feel that way. And if you feel that way, your body is going to act that way. Your mind will even make stuff up to convince you that what you believe is true. For example, if I say, hey, you know what? Here's what I want you to do. I want you to look around the room and find every single thing in your room, in your environment, that's red. Okay. You're going to look around, see everything that's red. Then now I want you to close your eyes. And I want you to tell me everything that you saw that was brown. You're not going to find, you're going to struggle to think of something. You might say, oh, my desk. Maybe you have hardwood floors, and that'll probably be about the gist of what you can remember. Then I want you to open your eyes again. And now look at everything in your environment that you think is brown. Now close your eyes and do it again. You're going to find a lot more things because you're looking for it, right? You're going to find a lot more brown things. And here's the ass kicker. Here's the thing where your mind starts to play tricks with you. Your mind will lie to you to convince you of otherwise. Because here's what's going to happen. I bet you're going to look around the room, and when you start telling me the things that you saw that was brown, you're probably going to find things that were actually beige, but you called it brown to support the thing you're looking for. Knowing that beige is not brown. It's not brown. Your mind will make stuff up to convince you of the thing you are looking for. So if you think you're a failure, you're telling your brain to look for reasons to confirm that you're a failure, and you're going to find it. You're always going to find it, right? So why is identity holding you back? I like to think of identity like a thermostat, right? I believe I am a 6 out of 10 healthy person, or I have the thermostat hit at 20 degrees. And the sun comes out and it gets warmer. And so as the temperature begins to rise, as you begin to do more and more actions of a healthy person, as you begin to do more and more things that make you healthy, that start to actually make you grow and progress, well, what's going to happen? That thermostat is going to kick in, and it's going to self-sabotage and pull you back to 20, because your internal identity thermostat is set to 20, and you started getting up to 25, to 26, to 27. The thermostat kicks in and goes, hold on, this isn't where we're supposed to be, right? Turns on, self-sabotage, pulls you back. Any single, and this happens every time. Like when you convince yourself not to go to the gym because you're tired, that's self-sabotage going, hey, this isn't who you are. So I'm going to use this moment to convince you that not going to the gym is a good idea. Hey, this is all these moments, all these times when you start convincing yourself why it's a good idea not to engage in the thing that you know you need to do to achieve what you want to achieve. That is your inner voice, the thing I talked about the other day, the inner bitch voice, the self-sabotage voice going, hey, this isn't who we are. Go sabotage. That's what that is every single time. And where you set it is where your mind's going to pull you to, right? So if you, it's kind of like the example I was saying, again, if you believe you're a 6 out of 10 healthy person, and you start getting 10 out of 10 results, your mind is going to jump on every opportunity to be like, hey, we're not a 10 out of 10. You're a 6 out of 10. Let's pull you back to a 6 out of 10 behaviors. This is why the deeper stuff is the key to long-term sustainable weight loss. So how do you adjust the identity thermostat, right? Because I see people, I see and hear from people all the time say, like, just want it more, just try harder, right? And a lot of people do that. They beat themselves up. It's like, oh man, like my willpower gave out, and I just wasn't motivated. I'm gonna try again, but I'm just gonna try harder. I'm gonna do it better, but it never actually works, and they self sabotage again. And this is where women tend to get frustrated even more and go into the, it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle. But they only ever treat it like a lifestyle for as long as that lifestyle gets them the results they want. And so their lifestyle is purely based on conditions. I will live this way as long as it gets me what I want. Not because of the quality of life improvements that come along with it, but if that scale doesn't go down, then this lifestyle sucks. It's not the right one. Right? Which means it's not actually a lifestyle at all, and they quit. To truly make progress that you want and keep it forever, you have to start by adjusting that internal thermostat. So how do we do that? Well, there's a combination of a few different communication pathways in the brain that we can start utilizing. One of them is called the reticular activating system. We're not going to get super into it, but essentially it's the law of attraction, right? The more you think of something, the more you get of that thing, right? If you're used to driving a silver Yaris and you're going down, you then start, and you notice like, man, everyone has a Yaris, and then you start driving a red Mustang, and then suddenly you're like, wow, everyone has a red Mustang. I didn't know everyone drove a red Mustang. And that's because you're now looking for it. It's familiar. You're attracting the thing you're focused to. You were attracted to the red Mustang, so you bought it. And now you're seeing more red Mustangs because you've told your brain that red Mustang is important to focus on. Next thing you can do is make the small things a really big deal, focusing on the wins, which I'm going to get super deep into on Friday, by the way. The next big thing that I mentioned earlier is identity is based on past experiences. So what we need to do is, because your brain is like a supercomputer backlogging all of the experiences you have ever done in your life. Every single thing you have ever done, your brain has stored in the subconscious. So what ends up happening is, hey, every time I step on the scale, I hit the panic button and go self-sabotage. Got it. Your brain has backlogged that experience so many times that now every time you step on the scale, your brain goes, okay, what happened last time we bumped up a pound? Oh, right, we panicked. We're going to cue the panic again, right? The brain just pulls from past experiences. So what you need to do is you need to create new experiences for your brain to start remembering. So before we even get super deep dive into identity change, I can't talk about identity without knowing your goal, right? Because here's a very traditional thing. And I know that I use this example all the time, but it is so important. People come to me all the time. They go, Chris, I want to lose 30 pounds. And like, if I lose 30 pounds, then I'll be happy. And I'll be like, okay, wait, hold on. So if you lose 30 pounds, you'll be happy. Got it. But what if you lose 30 pounds on the scale, but you don't look any different, don't feel any different? Are you still going to be happy? And they go, well, no, of course not. Oh, okay. So it's not the 30 pounds that's actually important to you. It's everything you think losing 30 pounds is going to add to your life. Does that sound right? And they go, yes, that. I'm like, awesome. Cool. Let's focus on those. And that's why these habits are the primary focus of the challenge, because these habits are important to do regardless of the outcome. Protein and fiber, going to the gym, lifting weights, like walking, all of these things are crucial for health, regardless of what the scale says. Like the scale could not go down and you will still be a healthier person by adopting those habits. So when we say, how do I lose 30 pounds? We're asking the wrong question. The right question is, who do I have to become who deserves to live 30 pounds lighter, who deserves that 30 pounds of fat loss? Because now we're talking about identity, who we are as a person, fundamentally, Now we can take that big goal and those other lifestyle improvements that you're after and break them down into as many tiny actions that you can, right? A glass of water first thing in the morning, establishing a sleep routine, a bedtime, waking up at the same time every day, walking after meals, frozen vegetables to have on hand for quick fiber sources on days you just don't feel like cooking, 5 minutes in the microwave, done. Journaling wins, planning tomorrow today, tracking just dinner, like weighing and measuring and tracking in your fitness app, just one meal, starting there, meal prepping, ingredient prepping. Like, man, I don't have time to dedicate an hour or so on Sunday to prep like 5 days of meals in a row. Great, but can you cook like 6 chicken breasts and like 4 steaks and like a couple pork chops? Can you do that? And then just as the week goes on, just add something else around it so that at least you're focusing on protein, the thing we need to focus on, right? Or taking the time to wind down and integrate stress out of your day, parking further away at the parking lot just to get a few more steps, taking recipes from like the high protein recipe pack and planning them in advance. These are just things that healthy people do. And so if we can even do the smallest tiny actions that create the outcomes we want, right? The list of things like these are the quality of life improvements that I'm after. How do I do that? Oh, small little actions. What can I do? In order to become the person you want to be, you have to start by doing what that version of you does and then start implementing them today. When most people think about the habits they want to build, they naturally start by considering outcomes they want to achieve, right? Like, I want to lose that 30 pounds, like as I talked about earlier. The alternative is to build what I call action based or identity based habits, and then start by focusing on who you wish to become, not what you want to achieve. Anyone can convince themselves to practice yoga or meditation once or twice a week. But if you don't shift the belief behind the behavior, then it becomes nearly impossible to stick to long term. Improvements are only temporary until they become a part of who you are. This is why more than 95% of people who lose weight gain the weight back. That's a real statistic. It's actually 97%. That's a real statistic. Because the goal, when we're thinking about even like a kid going through school, the goal is not to get straight A's. Like, that's the outcome we want, but that's not the goal we want to strive for. The goal is to become somebody who studies every day so they can ace their tests and get those A's. The goal is not to finish a painting. The goal is to become an artist. The goal is not to win the game or competition. The goal is to become a person who practices every day, because that's going to increase the likelihood of winning. The goal is not just to lose weight, but to become someone who is fit and healthy. Because if I can do the things that make me fit and healthy, then the weight loss is just going to happen by accident. The ultimate form of intrinsic motivation is when a habit truly becomes a part of who you are. It's one thing to say, I am the type of person who wants this outcome. It's something very different to say, I am the type of person who is this outcome. To a large degree, your identity emerges out of your habits, right? It's like a self-improvement feedback loop. The more you repeat the behavior, the more you reinforce the identity associated with that behavior. And again, we're giving your brain more and more evidence, more and more experiences to draw from that makes it easier to then pick the right option. And the more you reinforce the identity, the more natural it will become to repeat that behavior. Because again, your brain's going to gravitate towards past experiences. If you've always panicked when you step on the scale and it's up a pound, well, then you're going to keep doing that until you force a different response, which you can control. You always have control over your actions. You always have control over your responses to any stimulus ever in your life. It's fully in your control. So we need to give your brain more experiences to draw from. I use this example a couple times, but one of my clients, she would step on the scale, and that was always her downfall. That was always the trigger that would wreck her progress completely and then send her in a downward spiral. Every time she stepped on the scale and it went up a pound, she would immediately hit the panic button and then go cause the problem that will guarantee the outcome she doesn't want. And so what we started doing is she got a piece of paper, and on that piece of paper, she wrote, "Hey, did you go out to eat last night and then decided to weigh yourself today like a dumbass?" Because we know that 1 ounce of carbs is a 4-ounce water retention. It's not body fat at all. Carbs do not make you fat. They make you hold on to water, which is a good thing. More hydration is a good thing. Salt makes you hold on to water. Getting closer to your period, more inflammation makes you hold on to water. All of these things. There's so many things. Did you eat later last night? Have you pooped yet today? All of these things make you hold on to more water. None of it is body fat. It has nothing to do with body fat. And yet when that scale goes up, she would smack that panic button. So she wrote on a piece of paper, and what she did is she taped it to the wall at eye level, right where she steps on the scale. So that if the number bumps up, she looks up and goes, "Oh, wait, don't panic. I went out to eat last night and I decided to weigh myself today like an idiot. Okay, whoops." Right. And then underneath that, just to reinforce it, underneath that, she wrote, "Okay, so what are you going to do about it? Are you going to stop, pause, reflect, understand the situation that caused this fluctuation? Ask myself, did I actually screw up yesterday, or did it, or is this just a fluctuation? Like, am I going to be an adult and actually assess the situation, pivot, make a better plan, and try to do better next time? Or am I going to act like a child and run to the freezer and eat and bury myself this fear and anxiety under a tub of ice cream?" No adult is going to look at that and be like, "Yep, I'm going to pick the child option." No, they're going to be like, "Right. Oh my God, I didn't screw up at all last night. Like, maybe I just had more carbs. I had a hard leg day yesterday. I'm holding on to more inflammation, XYZ. I didn't sleep well last night. I'm really stressed today. So I'm holding on to more water. This is normal. This is okay. This is expected. This is part of the process. I'm just going to be patient and get back on track today, right now." Right. And the more you reinforce, the more you do that behavior, the more natural it will be to do that again and again and again. And how we make these wins a big deal, like I was talking about earlier, is then she then immediately celebrated by texting me, "Hey, Coach Chris, like, you never believe what just happened. I stepped on the scale, it was up 3 pounds, and I didn't panic. I feel great." And by making it a big deal, you are telling your subconscious mind that this is an important thing to notice, an important thing to understand. So now your brain goes, "Hey, wait, now the next time when you step on the scale and it's up a pound, and now you go, oh, wait, hold on. Last time when we didn't panic, we felt really good about it. So maybe we should do that again this time. What do you think?" And then you go, "Yeah, we'll do that." And then you feel great. And like I said, the more you reinforce the identity, the more natural it will become to reinforce and repeat that behavior. Like, if you volunteer at your local homeless shelter, you start to believe that you're the type of person who cares about your community. The more weekends you show up at the shelter, the more you reinforce that identity, and the easier it becomes to see community service as a part of who you are. I love giving back to my community. How do I know? Because I volunteer all the time. I prove it with action, and every action you take is a vote for the type of person that you wish to become. Each habit, it's like a suggestion. Hey, you know what? Maybe I think this might be who I am. And no single instance will transform your beliefs, but as the votes build up, so does the evidence of your new identity in your subconscious, because you're creating new experiences for your brain to draw back to. So the next time you step on the scale, you go, rather than panicking, you go, "Hey, wait, last time I also did this and it felt really good. So I'm going to do that again instead of panic." And sometimes you'll slip, sometimes you'll go back to panicking, and that's okay. Slowly over time, we start stacking more and more evidence. We don't do good, slip up once and be like, "Oh, not working," throw it all out the table. Like, clearly that didn't work. No, it actually worked just fine. You literally did 4 in a row where you didn't panic, and then you slipped up once. Okay. So far, you're 75% success rate. Like, sounds pretty good to me. Let's go back again. Each repeated behavior becomes a little louder each and every time and a little bit more convincing that this is who you are. And when your behavior and your identity are fully aligned, you're no longer pursuing behavior change. You're simply acting like the type of person you already believe yourself to be. As Benjamin Franklin quipped, the things you do often create the things you believe. So, your task, something I want you to think about. Think about your desired identity. Who is the type of person that could get the outcome I want? Like I talked about on the last live on Monday, when we talked about, oh, sorry, someone just sneezed in the hallway behind me. We talked about the character traits. Like, what are the character traits that I want to embody? Who is the type of person that could get the outcome I want? What would a healthy person do? What would a productive person do? The version of me who has succeeded in this journey that I have taken, what would that person do? What would that version of me do in this situation right now? When I step on the scale, there's the version of me right now who would panic. But what would the version of me who succeeded? Well, if every time I step on the scale and panic, and that's what sets me down a downward spiral, maybe that version of me doesn't panic. Because that's always the point at which I give up. So that version of me has to not panic. What does that person do instead? And these questions help reveal that desired identity that you want to be working towards and the habits that support that identity. Right? Like I said, it's a good thing earlier I gave a few examples that you can steal from if that helps at all. But yeah, that's a task I want you to kind of think about. What would the successful version of me do in this situation? And in these situations that I normally give up on, the things that normally send me down the downward spiral, send me to the fridge and freezer for a binge session or emotional eating, stress eating, whatever it is. Whatever thing tends to derail you, whenever a setback pops up, how do you usually react? And then how can you start reacting differently that reinforces that belief that you want to adopt, the identity you want to adopt. And once you have a handle on the type of person you want to be, you can then begin taking those small steps to reinforce that desired identity. Here are some more examples. We're going to I'm going away from just health, but also from just like nutrition and exercise and the challenge, but overall health, overall like mental health, emotional health, spiritual, social health, all that sort of thing. And here are some other examples that like in other areas of life. Like if you want to write a book, you should probably focus on becoming this type of person who writes every day. If you want to learn a new language, you should focus on becoming the type of person who studies that language each and every day. If you want to lose 30 pounds and keep it off for life and improve your overall health and well-being, you should probably be somebody who exercises in some regard every single day, regardless of the results. Because we know exercise is good for you, regardless of weight loss, regardless of the scale. We know that somebody who is morbidly obese, who works out every day, will outlive the person who is a healthy body weight, but doesn't exercise. That's how powerful exercise is. So we should probably do exercise every single day, regardless of the results we're getting. We should probably focus on whole natural foods. Like if you want to be somebody who keeps it off for life, you should probably be somebody who focuses on protein and fiber from whole natural sources. You should probably establish sleep habits, develop stress management skills, learn to live with the food environment we live in rather than fighting it. That version of you that has succeeded probably doesn't hit the panic button every time the scale is up a couple pounds. The focus should always be on the actions that reinforce the type of person we want to be, not getting a particular outcome. In the beginning, it is far more important to cast small votes for your desired identity than to worry about the particular result. Because you can't always control the outcome. You cannot always control what happens, but you can always control your actions. Always. They're always under your control. And since actions create results, perhaps it's a little bit more important to focus on those instead. If you want to get results that last forever and never worry about gaining weight back again, that's what you got to do. Your habits reshape your identity in a gradual way. It's slow, it's nearly impossible to see. You can rarely tell the difference between who you were yesterday and who you are today, but with each rep, with each vote you cast, your internal story, your internal narrative begins to shift. So, how do you go about selecting which habits to start with? I want to talk about something called the 5-minute rule again. I talked about it the other day, and we're going to bring it up again. When you're starting a new habit, it is really easy to get excited and overcommit, right? We've all done that. We're like, I'm going to get healthy. I'm going to walk 10,000 steps a day. I'm going to make sure I'm getting my protein. I'm going to go to the gym for an hour, 7 days a week. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And just, you start taking on so much stuff, so much responsibility. And like I said, I've already talked about why behavior change is so hard. And you just listed off 12 different habits that you want to change today. No wonder you get overwhelmed and quit. Like, of course you do. And then you start beating yourself up like it's too hard. Why can't I do this? I should be able to do this. I should be able to have a better handle of this. Why can't I be motivated? Why aren't I more motivated? Why can't I be more disciplined? Like, we start beating ourselves up because we can't hold ourselves to this insane standard. But that's why this the theme of the challenge is progress over perfection. So when you're starting a new habit, it's really easy to get excited and overcommit. And you just can't figure out how to make it work all at once. So you call yourself a failure, you say it's too hard, and you quit. And the thing is, you're right. It is too hard to change everything all at once and expect yourself to be able to do it with no problems. Like, of course it's hard. It's like walking into a band class on day one and expecting yourself to master every single instrument in that band by day one. You're overwhelming yourself because you have too many things to do. Right. And so you have to start canceling on yourself. Right. And you have to start not showing up for yourself. This is why, if I have to pick one place to start when building a new habit, I would recommend choosing a habit that is as easy as possible to perform that takes minimal amount of time. The most effective way to know how to do this is that 5-minute rule. The 5-minute rule states that when you start a new habit, it should take less than 5 minutes to do. I already showed you how to choose a habit that will begin to cast votes for your desired identity. Now we're going to talk about how to take that habit and scale it down into just a 5-minute version of that. For example, if you want to be somebody who walks 10,000 steps a day, that becomes, I need to put on my running shoes. Keeping the house tidy becomes, put one item of dirty clothing in the laundry. Being a better wife or husband becomes, make my partner a cup of coffee every morning. Getting straight A's becomes, set my books out on the desk when I get home so that they're out in the open and I don't forget about it. The idea is to make your habit as easy as possible to start, because just starting the task is already 80% of the overall effort that's required. So the 5-minute rule really helps counterbalance our tendency to bite off more than we can chew. It also gives you a small way to reinforce that identity each and every single day. And when we hear about other people's spectacular results they're getting, it's very natural to think that we need to push ourselves to the limit in order to achieve anything worthwhile. Like, how many people have compared their results to somebody else's? I have. Absolutely, I have. We all look at somebody else who's going through the same journey and they're doing better than us, and that makes us feel inferior. But they're not living the same life as us. Like the 45-year-old menopausal woman, where their 18-year-old son is going off to college, and so they're getting super emotional about that, and they're also putting on a bunch of weight because they're so stressed, and menopause and hormones and all that sort of thing. Cravings are through the roof. They're having a hard time navigating it all, and they're also, they also have another kid that's now going into high school, and that's a big thing. Like, that person lives a very different life than the 35-year-old woman who's not going through menopause, who has a long history of athletics, who has been super fit before and has a history of nutrition and understands what they're doing. So when we look at the 35-year-old woman and they're making progress, they're 15 pounds down, and by the end of 8 weeks, and we're at 8 weeks and we're barely down 3 pounds, it's natural for us to think that we're not pushing ourselves hard enough. Or like, We're not worthy, or we don't deserve it. And this is why you need to remove the word should from your vocabulary. No, but I should be able to handle this. I should be able to do more. I should be able to lose more weight. I should be losing more weight. I should be doing this. I should be doing that. No more. None of that. Like, should according to whom? Society? Other people? Like, should basically means comparison, expectations that someone else, somewhere else, some outward force, external force, expectations of some external force is being placed upon you, and you're internalizing that. You're identifying with that expectation. I know I've made this mistake so many times myself. Instead, you can simplify the process by narrowing down your attention to just simply the first movement to create momentum, because momentum builds momentum. And once momentum gets building, it becomes so much easier to keep going. The only thing that you should do is simply recognize what's difficult for you and do just enough to challenge you, but not enough to deter you. You might not be able to automate the whole process, but you can make the first action simple. You're trying to build that kind of gateway habit for a larger behavior or bigger ambition that you're ultimately working towards. But you got to take that single step first. But if you never take that one step, like imagine looking at a staircase, right? And you see 100 stairs going up, and you look at that and be like, oh, wow, that looks impossible. So I'm not even going to take the first step. But you can look at the first step and be like, oh, yeah, I can do that. And if you take that first step, and then the next, and then the next, and then the next, suddenly you're done. You're there. You've got what you want. But if you never take that first step, it doesn't matter. You could train, right? You could want to run a marathon, but if you never go, if you never try, if you never even put on your running shoes, you're never going to get there. So make the actions that you want to commit to that reinforce that identity of who you want to be, make them as simple and easy as possible. If you make it as easy as possible to start, the rest just follows. And you can usually figure out the gateway habits that will lead to your desired outcome by mapping out your goals. And when we write down all those character traits we want to adopt, when we write down all those actions and behaviors that we know that our successful version of ourselves are doing, we know what that version of ourselves does in certain situations, then we can start looking at that, mapping them out, and put them on a scale from 1 to 10 of easy to very hard. And then pick the ones that are as easy as possible to start in the context of your life. So do that with the list you've already created earlier. Once you've broken down the big goal into as many different actions and mini goals as possible, start rating them on a scale from 1 to 10 difficulty. And most people start, the problem is that most people start with the huge ambitions that are big and very hard, but need to transition to habits that are very small and easy. That's how you do this. Keep it as simple as possible. Simplicity scales and fancy fails. Burn that into your brain. Simplicity scales, fancy fails. For instance, learning to play a song on the guitar is very difficult, especially if you've never picked up a guitar before in your life. Learning to play the chorus of a song is very difficult. Learning to play the scales is moderately difficult. Practicing the individual chords is easy, but picking up the guitar and sitting down in a quiet spot must be done first before you can even start. Your ultimate ambition might be to learn to play the full song, but your gateway habit is simply picking up your guitar and sitting down. And that's how you follow the 5-minute rule. And I talked about another iteration of the 5-minute rule before, where I talked about my client Vivian, who lost almost about 150 pounds just by parking in front of the gym. That's all she did. She parked in front of the gym and for 5 minutes and left. And that was what she needed to do. That is what got her in the door and started lifting the weights and building strength and burning body fat and got her that toned physique that she was after, that so many people are after. But if you never pick up a weight, you're never going to get it. So how do we start that process? Park in front of the gym. That's all she did. And now she's there. And even broad life goals can be turned into like this 5-minute behavior. Like wanting to live a healthy life may be your ultimate ambition, but then you have to ask yourself, what do I need in order to live a healthy life? I need to stay in shape. Then you can ask yourself, what do I need to what do I need in order to stay in shape? Well, I need to exercise. Well, what do I need to exercise? I need to change into my workout clothes, and so on and so forth, until you get a behavior that just takes 5 minutes or less. And that triggers momentum. This is also why I developed the concept of exercise snacks, which I'm going to explain next week. And you can also use the challenge guide that I gave you. Everyone who is in the challenge got a PDF guide in that very first email that you ever got after signing for the challenge. But then also the one leading up, the one that everyone got, I believe, on Monday or on Sunday. All of them have the challenge guide. That challenge guide has workouts in there. Easy. Like I did that for you. And again, this just builds momentum. And so momentum builds momentum. If you're already doing something, it's like, well, I'm already dressed to go for a run. I might as well just do it. Right? I already rolled out the yoga mat. I might as well just do at least 5 minutes of stretching. Like people often think it's weird to get hyped about putting your shoes on or placing one item of clothing in the laundry basket or just making a single cup of coffee or setting your books out. But at the point is not to eventually do just 5 minutes of work and then never do anything else. The point is just master the art of showing up. Because here's the thing, most of you just don't show up for yourself. Let's look at this. Like, let's use this example. Say you invite a friend out for lunch and they don't show up. And so you invite them again the next week. They don't show up. And the next week, they don't show up. And the next week, they don't show up. Eventually, 10 weeks down the road, you've just lost all confidence and trust in that friend. Well, that's what you've been doing for so long. You've been breaking your own trust in yourself. You don't have any faith in yourself because you don't show up for yourself. This is how we rebuild that confidence and self-trust and self-confidence. Because you've been saying for so long, I'm going to start this new diet. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to be healthy. I'm going to start going to the gym. You don't do it. I'm going to start doing yoga. You don't do it. I'm going to start going for runs. You don't do it. I'm going to start eating healthier. And then it doesn't happen. All of these promises you've made to yourself for so long has lost that confidence in yourself. This is how we do it, because 5 minutes, that's so easy to commit to. So this is how we rebuild that self-confidence, is the 5-minute rule. Because here's the thing. The truth is a habit must be established before it can be improved. If you can't learn the basic skill of just showing up, then it's not going to happen. For the client I just mentioned, it wasn't even about exercising. The goal was just to become the person who goes to the gym 4 days a week. That's it. Just go to the gym 4 days a week. Show up. And that's all she did. And she lost 150 pounds. That all started by just mastering the art of showing up, by making it a standard in your life, then worrying about getting good at it. Strategies like this work for another reason too. They reinforce the identity you want to build. If you show up at the gym 5 days in a row, even if it's just for 2 minutes, you're casting those votes for the identity that you wish to become. You're casting votes for the type of person that doesn't miss workouts. You're taking the smallest action that confirms the type of person you want to be. So, your big task that I want you to do, we already talked about one task, now I'm doing another. Set your primary 3 non-negotiables that you can execute on your worst days, because every single day, in fact, most days are not going to be 10 out of 10 days. So plan as if your worst days. Pick something for exercise, nutrition, and self-care. Write them down. I would love to see them. Post them in the group and pin them to your fridge for future reference. Post them in the group. I would love to discuss. I would love to chat. I would love to see the things that you want to change about yourself. And by the way, this is actually, those of you who are listening live and those of you who are going to watch the replay, you're going to see a little sneak peek. This is going to be the first weekend challenge. Friday morning, I'm announcing, hey, pick one thing for exercise, nutrition, and self-care that you're going to commit to after the challenge is over. Pick something small, start going. Pick something that just takes 5 minutes or less, and post those in the group. That's going to be the weekend challenge. So those of you who are listening, those of you who are watching, you get a leg up. You get a time bump. You get to see this before other people do on Friday when I announce it. You already get a head start. And by posting into the group, you're going to earn 3 bonus points. And Friday, I'll be deep diving into the last part of the identity change, which is all about celebrating wins, no matter how small. I learned that there's a term for this. They're called glimmers. And I love it. So we're going to focus on finding your glimmers. Because the more you hype up the thing that you want, the more you convince your subconscious mind that making that thing is more important. And remember, the final habit to build during the final week is going to be celebrating wins. Like during this challenge, the 3rd week, the only thing that you're adding onto your tasks every day is to simply talk about what are 3 wins from the day. That's it. So I'll talk to you Friday. Have yourself a wonderful day. Take care.